Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to another CPC hosted webinar, one of our many during the Q4 e-commerce brand Accelerator virtual summit. So today we have Trustpilot here with us. If this is your first time here, we'd like to welcome and we like to say welcome, and we hope to see more of you at these summit events. If this is not your first time, welcome back, and we're happy to have you here again for another presentation. We all realize Q4 and the holidays are right around the corner, so it's vital to ensure that your digital media plan is optimized for increased visibility to convert all the holiday shoppers during the most competitive time of the year. So in this webinar, Trustpilot's optimizing the path to conversion, leveraging social proof to increase sales. Our speaker, Robert, will be speaking about the effects of user-generated content, reviews, testimonials, influencers, and so on. So quickly, before we jump in, I kind of want to go over, let's go ahead, I might need your help clicking here. Robert, to the next slide. Okay, there we go. Just want to go over the events of our summit. We had CPC Strategies presentation just before this one. Now we have Trustpilot speaking on social proof. After this, 15 minutes after this presentation, we'll have Nielsen Visual IQ presenting on measuring marketing effectiveness. And then tomorrow, kicking it off, is Ad Espresso, who will be speaking towards retargeting. And closing the summit, we'll have Privy with their cart abandonment solutions presentation. So I want to introduce myself. I'm Analicia. I am CPC Strategies Webinar Coordinator. I'll be moderating today's webinar and handling all your questions on the back end. So the first question, number one question that we receive with these summits and with webinars in general is if the recording and slides will be sent out. So I just want to say yes, rest assured that all session slides and recordings will be sent out before the week ends. So you'll have those Thursday, latest Friday. But I know that there are so many different presentations, it's hard to be able to attend them all, so don't worry, we will be sending those to you. Secondly, as I mentioned, I will be moderating your questions. So in the GoToWebinar panel, there's a questions tab. Please submit your questions there for our speaker today, and I'll be queuing those up so we can get to them in the Q&A portion at the end of the presentation. Another thing to mention is we do have some additional resources available for download in the handouts tab under the questions tab in the panel. These are some, Trustpilot has an additional resource there, CPC Strategy has some as well. So feel free to download those, or there's supplemental resources to kind of support all the content we have here today. Lastly, we ask that you join in on a poll question that we have, and I will actually go ahead and launch before I pass it over to Trustpilot. So the question is, are you currently using any forms of social proof? Answers being yes, no, or not sure what social proof is. And if you're not sure, that's okay. Robert will be unpacking what social proof is and really how to measure it and what you should be looking at. So I'll let the responses come in. Again, are you currently collecting any forms of social proof? So I will go ahead and close this now. And I will share the results with you all. And Robert, I'll read it out loud because I know that you cannot see the results. So yes, 46% yes are collecting social proof. We have 17% who believe that they are not collecting social proof, and then 37 not sure. So we have the highest majority here is 46 with yes, they are collecting. The no is 17 and 37 not sure. So, no worries. Robert will be sure to unpack what that really means. So I will kick it off to Robert to introduce himself, introduce Trustpilot, and kind of take on the presentation from here.
Thanks so much. So yeah, my name is Robert Statsky. I'm the Director of Customer Success at Trustpilot. We're an online reviews company that handles social proof and gathers feedback from customers based upon their service or product experiences with a number of different customers globally. I work primarily out of the US, but we are a global presence and have a number of different offices around the globe. So today's agenda, we're going to be talking a little bit about what is social proof, how does it work, what the different types are, what user-generated content is, and how that plays into what Trustpilot collects for their customers and for the community in general. We'll go over a number of influencer opinions, how we can help support that with badges, awards, and seals. And then we could talk about live or dynamic data to increase FOMO, obviously. So a little bit about Trustpilot. We help people buy with confidence. And it's not just about buying, it's also about just making any type of transaction online, obviously. We work with a wide range of customers, and we help them harness the power of reviews and provide that third-party feedback and validation for a number of different companies in a number of different verticals. Our big mission is to build trust and transparency by providing that feedback to our customers, and that's something that we're really good at doing. We have almost 50 million online reviews globally. We're getting about 1 million new reviews every month, and there's currently almost 250,000 brands reviewed on Trustpilot currently. So we're quite the presence out there online, and we're working towards expanding that right now throughout the globe. So the holiday season's coming up. I think the first thing you think about when you're thinking about online reviews, obviously, is how is this going to affect retail? What's this doing with retail? 40% of retailers experience 48% average revenue growth during this season. So holiday sales last year increased by 3.8% compared to the previous year. It's only going up online, obviously, as people are migrating to different places to make purchases and make decisions online. So having social proof is incredibly important, and having that trust and transparency when you're making a purchase decision is paramount. So what is social proof? How do we define that? Anything that can influence the actions and attitudes of those around them, and have your own behavior, right? So it's a perfect way for marketers to utilize FOMO and build out credibility when they're trying to either sell something, promote something, or get any type of conversion on a website. So why does social proof work? Obviously, this is a concept I think that's been around for a long time. 84% of consumers say they trust peer recommendations above all other sources of advertising. I used to work in email marketing, and one of the biggest things we had was the refer a friend link when I first started out, and that was simply because getting someone's recommendation over what a marketer is telling you has that power. It's a very strong power, and someone's going out of their way to recommend something, it really helps. So 92% of people will trust a recommendation from a peer, and 70% of people will trust a recommendation from someone they don't even know, simply because there's this concept of everyone's kind of maybe all in it together or working with each other to make great decisions out there. And if you really care about a product, or you really care about an experience that you had, that you're going to want to make sure that other people know about it. So word of mouth marketing generates more than twice the sales of paid advertising. And the stats are here for that in terms of the number of consumers relying on social media to inform their purchasing decisions. So whether it be on any forms of social networks or on your website itself, having that third-party validation from someone else is incredibly important. And you could look at the ad that we have here for Barbasol from a long time ago. It's including quotes and reviews from other people. So, just to reiterate, there's many different types of social proof. Obviously, any type of user-generated content, a share, a post, an image, a review, case studies and testimonials, influencers talking about products in any way, shape, or form, having sorts of badges and awards, or even having some type of live user data to kind of talk about it. These are all ways that we start influencing purchasing and conversion points across the internet. So that's what social proof is. It sounds like the majority of the audience actually knows what that is, so we could continue on forward with that. So user-generated content is really great in the B2C space. An example of this is Lululemon. Obviously, 2 million followers on Instagram. There's more sales, better brand customer relationship. You're looking at it, this post here, and it's a picture of someone. You can see them actually wearing the clothes and getting a sense of, what they're doing and how they're working and how things fit. And you have tons of comments on this. So having the ability to kind of see this post and have the additional information about it is super helpful when customers are looking to make a purchase decision. The other thing to think about here is, this can work in any type of retail environment, whether it's clothes or furniture. Increasing your social media following, it's a great word of mouth strategy, and it's got more traffic from social and more sales. So if you show a piece of furniture in its natural environment, it might be more meaningful than, say, just looking at it in a catalog, because you have a point of reference and how it interacts with the other products. So the other thing to think about here, and why I'm talking right now, obviously, is reviews and ratings boost customer confidence. So, 92% of consumers now read online reviews. So, it's just the natural part of the purchasing experience right now when you're doing anything online right now. You want to know that other people have gone through this before and that you can trust what you're doing is actually going to, you could trust the company that you're making a transaction with to actually fulfill on their end of the bargain. So 88% of consumers trust online reviews as much as a personal recommendation, because someone is going out of their way to leave a review on a company. They want other people to know that their experience was either positive or negative, or could have been a little bit better, somewhere in between. Customers are likely to spend 30% more on a business with excellent reviews. So if you're collecting feedback from your customers about their purchasing experience or about the products, that could add a true amount of value for new potential customers. And 40% of consumers form an opinion by reading 1 to 3 of the reviews. So yeah, it's great if you have 10,000 reviews, but if you do have fresh content in there, that can help you in so many different ways that it'll only benefit your company when additional customers have fresh content to read through. So here's some examples of some other companies, and the Staples example of how they worked on used reviews to their advantage. So it just proves that it's great for B2C and B2B. In any situation, if you're making a purchasing decision as a company or as a consumer. This example, it improved the click-through rate on the email because it allowed people to actually see the reviews in here and understand what was going on. It could generate more sales from the web in general and from Google Shopping, and it could offer more traffic and engagement from social media. So the thing to think about here is we have a couple different examples here of a Trustpilot widget on a website, in Google Shopping, and on their Facebook page. So any way you can incorporate these ratings and reviews and this user-generated content across any of the channels that you're working on is something that could greatly benefit your business or your marketing experience in any way. Here's some more examples of a couple of different other customers. Revel Systems put the review widget on their web page, and when you click into it next to a form, they notice a 16% increase in overall conversions for that form. And the reason for that is a customer doesn't actually have to leave the website to go do research on the company. When you have a trusted third party collecting reviews on your behalf, or displaying this third-party social proof on your website, the customer can actually do everything within your site and within your ecosystem to ensure that they have the information they need to make an informed decision. So this can increase the time on site. It can increase your overall conversions, like it did with Revel and Vivint. And you could also, place it in the sales conversion funnel as well. So you could see Vivint and ID Wholesaler, they put it near where their purchasing products were. So, the suggestion is here, the best practice is here, you want to put social proof anywhere where there needs to be a conversion point, whether it's to collect consumer data or to make a purchase of an actual product. And that's what these companies did here. And they saw, very large increases in overall conversions and revenue on the whole. So we have there are a number of other case studies and testimonials that speak to this. I don't want to say it's a phenomenon. I think it's something that's been going on for a while, and I think it's just clearer, towards what the experiences are on the internet. I mean, it used to be word of mouth, and now it's still word of mouth, but it's just displaying it a different way. So case studies are huge, and it shows other examples of what you can do when you're using social proof to your advantage. So it gives you the most in-depth type of social proof. It gives you examples. It gives you stats. It talks about what the scenario is and what worked and what didn't work, and it's great to use when you have a solid customer story. So I would definitely suggest anyone who's working with any type of customers with their business to use case studies and testimonials, because again, it's if you could get a number of different verticals talking about what worked for them, you could try to repeat those processes. And by identifying a good customer advocate, you will not only benefit yourself, but you will also benefit that customer by providing them with whatever exposure you're able to give them as well. Influencer opinions are really great as well. Obviously, I think this is something that we've seen with the influence of social media over the last few years. It really gives you experts who really know what they're talking about and what they've experienced. The example we have here is from National Geographic Travel. Obviously, National Geographic is a bit more of an expert about travel than maybe your standard vacationer or adventurer, but you can see this in fashion as well, where there's plenty of influencers now on Instagram, on Facebook, in other verticals, and other social networks talking about different verticals and different things like that, like fashion or travel or anything like that. So this is definitely something you might want to consider as well. If you have an influencer you want to work with and you want to provide suggestions about your product or service, I think that could definitely help you. The other thing you could do is talk about badges, awards, and seals of approval, anything like that to provide more proof and more evidence that you've been verified in any type of way. You'll see an increase in conversion. You'll build more trust, and you'll add more credibility and transparency to whatever experience is you're trying to portray. So you can see a couple examples here of VeriSign Trusted, or the Trustpilot widget. It's a highly recommended company because it's got an excellent 5-star rating. Anything that could help push the ball along and help keep customers informed and on your website is only going to add benefit to you. The other thing you could talk about is, we could talk about is just live or dynamic data. I think this is really exciting for a lot of people. If they consider to see, the example we have here is from TripAdvisor, right? And if they see live data using the wisdom of the crowd, like the number of reviews and total and the very good rating, I think that's really exciting. And in addition to that, you could create a sense of urgency. Time-sensitive deals, number of visitors viewing the product, buyers in the past 24 hours. That creates a sense of urgency on the customer side, and I think that could be really exciting for a lot of people. Cool. So I believe that kind of takes us to through the deck. If you'd like to schedule a one-on-one evaluation with Trustpilot, obviously we'd love to have that conversation with you. You could take it through this link here and reach back out to us, and we'd be happy to have someone reach out to kind of talk a little bit more about social proof, talk a little bit more about ratings and reviews, and we could help get this going for your business quite quickly.
Thank you so much, Robert. So I sent the link out to everyone through the questions tab. So if you would like to set up a demo, just follow that link. And Robert has cleared up some questions along the way, but now we have some time. Let's open it up to Q&A. We do have a few questions that I have keyed up, but feel free to send them over as we go through. So the first question I have, it came from a couple of our attendees. It came from Adele as well as from Anna. So I'll start with part A and then I'll get to part B right after. So how do you encourage users to leave reviews on your website?
So there are a number of ways to do it. The way Trustpilot collects reviews is via invitation. There's a number of different ways to collect reviews, either via invitation or by directly leaving a review on a Trustpilot profile page. Generally, what we suggest is you invite all customers to leave a review, because any type of feedback will be valuable for your business to get a sense of where you might be going wrong or where things are working really well, so you could double down on that. In addition to that, if customers leave an actual review, they'll be incentivized to either make an additional purchase, or you could get a sense that they're really doubling down on your brand and are engaged enough to maybe come back and do something else. So first thing to do would be to see what your normal response rate is. After that, if you're trying to increase your response rate, there are times where you can incentivize a customer to leave a review, as you know, if you feel like you want to increase your response rate. But it really depends upon how much content you're trying to get and what you're trying to get feedback on. So you could ask people to review your overall service experience. You could ask them to review your product. You could even tailor an invitation to ask customers if you just want to know what it was like, what the shipping was like, or something of that nature. So first thing I usually suggest is see what your baseline response rate is, and then after that, if you have to resort to incentivizing customers to leave a review, that's something you could do as well, or you could build a contest around it. So there are a number of different ways to do it, but it's really getting a sense of finding out how engaged your audience is first before you take any additional actions.
Me, I know I love leaving reviews. I actually just got an email yesterday to leave a review, and sometimes I get, win a chance for an $100 gift card if you leave a review. I'm still waiting to win that gift card, but I do love leaving those reviews. So I guess part two of that question comes from Anna. So she is in the B2B realm. So she says that usually she gets more negative reviews than anything else, just because people are more encouraged to leave a negative review after a negative experience versus, people having a positive experience and leaving a positive review. So how would you encourage people, or maybe what are the best ways to handle negative reviews, and then how do you kind of push for those positive ones?
So, soliciting feedback is a very evolved concept, right? I don't think anyone loves receiving negative feedback about anything, so that's always a slippery slope. I think one of the most important things to do is to invite as many customers and invite as many people as possible to leave a review on your service, because when you're actually inviting customers to leave a review and they're taking the time to go from that invite and leave a review, chances are that it might be more of a positive experience. When someone's had a negative experience, they will go out of their way to find a way to give you a negative review generally. So that's always something to consider in those scenarios. There's no magic bullet, but inviting customers as often as possible to leave you that feedback will give you the highest probability of having the greatest variety of review types. If you don't invite customers to leave reviews and they find a place where they can leave reviews for you, and they will find that place on the internet, whether it's on a company like Trustpilot or a message board or Reddit or somewhere else, they will find a way to write negative reviews there. Now, the second part of the question was how to deal with negative reviews. I think the most important thing to think about here is how are you responding to those? Now, a negative review can have just as much power as a positive review if a customer sees that you're responding to it and engaging with them. Because generally, when someone leaves a negative review, they're upset about something or they just want to be heard. So if you're acknowledging to the customer that you hear them and that you're going to work with them to rectify their problem or their concern, that actually can have more value than a fluffy positive review that just said, I really enjoyed this, thanks, 5 stars.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Hopefully we answered your questions there, Anna, Adele, and Joseph. So Tiffin is wondering, I guess maybe the weight of the website when it comes to reviews. So he's saying, if I could only choose from these options, getting reviews on Google, getting reviews on Facebook, if there's one that carries more weight than the other.
I think it really depends on where your customers are and where you're looking to make your conversions, right?
Yeah.
If a big part of your business is through your website, working with a third party to help drive traffic to your website is going to be huge for you. If in some way, shape, or form you really want to drive traffic to your Facebook page, or you're getting a lot of conversion off of your Facebook page, then maybe collecting reviews on Facebook is going to be powerful for you. Or if you want to collect reviews on Google Shopping, that might work as well. So I think it's really just having an understanding of where you want to drive traffic and what's going to convert best for you, and also what holds the highest SEO value for your business. So a company like Trustpilot, which has a fairly high domain authority, will show up in search results. So if a customer is collecting reviews on a third party like us, being able to show up and manage that conversation, whether it's the positive reviews or the negative reviews, holds value. So I think it's having an understanding of what are the biggest converting locations for your business, and where can you be to maximize that value.
Yeah, makes sense. So, wherever your audience is where you should maybe focus your efforts. So to Fan, I think you mentioned in your question that you drive most of your traffic to Facebook. So maybe Facebook is where you want to build those better reviews.
A lot of
go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of companies as well will let you collect reviews and put them on your Facebook page as well. So Trustpilot has a plugin for that as well. Don't mean to just pitch that in there, but it's also a possibility. So
it's good to know. It's good to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that kind of brings me to the next question we have here from Joey. So I guess, is Amazon one of those websites? So Joey's wondering if you can, and if you can, how do you use Amazon reviews on your website?
I don't believe Amazon lets you place their third-party review content on your site because they want to keep people within their ecosystem. And since the purchasing experience goes through Amazon, I think that makes sense for them. Now, again, it really depends upon where most of your business lies. Are you selling most of your stuff through Amazon? Are you selling most of it direct? Are you going through other third-party retailers? So again, it's really having an understanding of where the majority of your business is coming from and where people are going to go to find information on your site. Now, if you're selling a lot on Amazon, but all your Amazon traffic is getting referred from your website, having some sort of social proof on your site might make the most difference for your business. If you're only selling on Amazon and you're driving all your traffic to Amazon through ads, then that's a different type of scenario as well. But one of the things about social proof, which is great, is any of this user-generated content can also be used in ads to help drive traffic. It's great content as well. So we saw it with that Barbasol example. It's no different than that as it would be today if you were to create, an ad with a rating or review that you collected from one of your customers.
Got it. Thank you so much. Hopefully we answered your question there, Joey, with how to work around that. So I don't know if you're familiar with any pharmaceutical. Do you have any pharmaceutical clients that you guys work with by chance? Non-RX products?
I believe so. I believe we have.
Okay, so we do have this question here from Jamie. I don't know if it might be too niche, but let's see. Due to guidelines and regulations, oftentimes leveraging reviews are not so encouraged for pharmaceutical agents, so non-RX products. So what options have worked well within the pharmaceutical industry in respect to reviews and feedback that you might be familiar with?
Yeah, I think it really depends upon, again, what you're able to ask the customer and what data you're able to share.
Joseph, sorry. The mic is cutting out a little bit. Not
Sorry,
sure.
can you hear me now?
Maybe try again?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, much better.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
So I think it really depends upon, what your guidelines are in terms of sharing user data and collecting that information. If it's a sensitive topic, or if it's if you're the type of business that isn't comfortable necessarily soliciting feedback from customers, or collecting their name or email address or sharing that with another third party, you might want to think about what your different options are to either do it in a anonymous way or an encrypted way or something along that nature. This way, you're basically just being sensitive to the nature of the overall product. I've worked with companies before that do like different types of medical testing. So obviously, if you're trying to solicit a review about a medical testing product, that information is going to be a little bit different than, say, a T-shirt that you want to know how it fits. So I think it's just about understanding what you're able to solicit feedback on and what you're able to do with that information and what your overall goals are. If you're trying to get social proof to encourage other people to make a purchase, then you might have specific guidelines in that. If you're just looking to solicit feedback about what the experience is like working with your business, that might be a different type of way to collect the reviews or survey the customers. And it might not be online reviews that's the best bet. It might be a survey company or something else of that nature.
Which brings me actually to Mike's question that just came in. So he's wondering, how do you decide which types of social proof are best for your business? I guess maybe reviews, like you mentioned right now, might not be the best for everyone. Sometimes surveys, I guess. How do you decide what's best for your business?
I think it's just testing, and more testing. It really depends on what your overall goal is also. If you're doing really well driving traffic to your website, maybe it's just about converting on site. And it also depends upon what your site looks like and where your traffic is and where it's all coming from. It all comes down to what's going to work best to move the needle, right?
Yeah.
So you need to test a lot, but you also need to think about what your overall goal is of the strategy. So if you're just simply looking to convert more customers to supply more information for you, maybe the example that we showed, like on TripAdvisor or on Trustpilot with like the star ratings, is going to move the needle on that. If you're a retailer that's looking to sell more product, maybe showing examples of customers wearing that product or using those products in a different situation. Like we had the IKEA example of someone showing an example of the product in their actual house and what it could look like to kind of get people thinking about it. And that also gives you the opportunity to cross-sell other products, obviously. But so I think it's just knowing what type of business you are and what your overall goal is with social proof. If it's trying to get people to supply more information, that might be different than trying to get people to make a purchase decision. If you're a retailer, putting it in the shopping cart is always a big deal as well, because you don't want people to abandon that cart, and you want people to not leave the site and stay on the website and make a decision right then and there. So figuring out what your goal is and then testing it over time would be my suggestion.
Okay, got it. Great. Thanks so much. So I do have a couple more questions here. One is Kieran. She's wondering, do you recommend displaying negative reviews with feedback, or do you advise on handling those privately?
I recommend displaying them with the feedback, because it really shows, again, that a customer is being heard and that they're being listened to and that someone is taking the time to solve their problem. When someone leaves a negative review, yes, it's a warning for other potential buyers or customers or conversion points, but it's also I wasn't happy with this experience and I want them to know about it. And when you reply to that and then show that you publicly that you're trying to rectify the situation, like I said, it can go a lot farther than just someone saying, thanks, really love this company. Like, yeah, it's great that someone left that 5-star review and said, really loved working with this company, but where's the value in that? Is that more valuable than, say, a negative review where someone said, hey, the shipping was took too long, and someone replies back saying, we're so sorry to hear that. We'd love to figure out how to rectify this, or give you a discount on your next purchase, or make something work better for you. So I would always recommend showing them. Now, if you're getting a ton of negative feedback, then it's another strategy, because then it's like, okay, what's the problem? What's the actual sentiment? What are people having trouble with and struggling with on a consistent basis here, and how could we fix that? So I think it's just about thinking about where you are as a business and how much feedback you're getting and what the feedback's on, and then working on a plan to reply to it. But trying to hide it is never the best bet, because someone will always find it if it's on the internet somewhere, and that could cause some other potential problems for you as well.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah. I guess it also shows, customer service and the fact that somebody's attentive and actually cares about addressing the negative reviews, right? So Karen, hopefully we answered your question there. And brings us to our last question, I believe. So Lauren is wondering, how can her business earn a badge to put on their website?
So, in order to earn a badge to get on your website, I mean, you would have to work with another third party. I think if you were working with a company like Trustpilot, depending upon which plan you were using that we offer a number of different badges and widgets that could display seals of approval and social proof. So I think it's about thinking about which vendors you work with. And in the case of working with a company like Trustpilot, it's depending upon what plan you're on and how many reviews that you've collected and what your overall trust score is. So having that seal of approval is fantastic for a number of customers, as we showed with the stats earlier. It could really help with the conversion there. So reaching out to someone in our organization to talk about getting started today would be one thing, or logging onto our website would be another thing. But also just figuring out who it is you work with and what is going to move the needle for your business, and then making a determination from there, whether it be with a company like Trustpilot or Better Business Bureau or any type of other shopping partner, etc.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much. Hopefully we answered your question there, Lauren. So that closes it up with Q&A. I want to say thank you, Robert, for delivering this presentation and kind of teaching us all a little bit about social proof and really diving into all those Q&As, those questions about reviews. I know that I learned a lot. I'm sure that our audience learned a lot as well. So I want to say thank you. I also want to say thank you to our audience. Thank you for submitting all the questions. Thank you for tuning in today. Also want to remind you all that we do have one more presentation for the summit coming up in about 25 minutes here with Nielsen Visual IQ, and they'll be speaking towards marketing effectiveness and measuring your marketing efforts in the digital age. So yeah, thank you again, Robert, for presenting. Thank you for our audience for tuning in to the presentation. We really appreciate you spending the time with us. We understand how valuable your time is, and thank you again for tuning in. So I'm going to be signing off from San Diego. This is Annalicia from CPC Strategy.